Hey guys, welcome back to the DGN Sports Network. Today we're going to be going over SEC West win totals. I'm going to be forced to make a pick on all of these. I don't typically like to make picks on things that I'm not pretty certain on, but we're going to give you get off the fence and actually give you a pick on each team. I'm going to try to get graphics on the screen. I'm pretty tech illiterate, so that may not happen, but if it does, well, fantastic. If not, I will put it in the description. And we're going to jump right in, and we're starting with Alabama, whose win total for the year is 8.5. Alabama was 11-2 last year, 6-2 in the conference. Every team this year is playing a 10-game conference schedule only. Based on that, and based on Alabama starting a new quarterback, I'm going to take the under in this one. Do I believe Alabama could go 10-0? Absolutely. But do I also think that the margin of error is next to zero there, considering that Alabama plays all of the SEC West, and then they pick up Georgia, Kentucky, and Missouri in the East, and another team, Tennessee is their normal rival in the East. I just don't see them getting through the entire schedule unscathed with a new quarterback that has not had time based on the beaten-to-death point of COVID, canceling spring practices and really changing fall camp. I just don't see Alabama being able to hit 8.5. If it was 8, I think that they probably will go 8-2. But making me choose here, I'm going to say that Alabama's going to go under. We're going to move on to Arkansas at 1.5. Arkansas was 2-10 last year and 0-8 winless in the SEC. Arkansas has a really tough road. I see they possibly win against Missouri. I don't really see any other win on their schedules. Based on that, I'm going to say that we're going to take the under. Although the margin of error is tiny on that too, because they could catch a good lucky game and win two. They may be very improved under their new coaching staff, but based on them not having time to really do the things they needed to do in camp, I just don't see them having a great first year. That brings us to Auburn, whose win total is 6.5. Last year they were 9-4 and 5-3 in the league. Full disclosure, I graduated from Auburn, and I'm probably the least impressed person on this planet with Auburn as far as Gus Malzahn and his football program are concerned. Auburn got a pretty decent draw from the East. They play Georgia every year, but they picked up Kentucky, South Carolina, and Tennessee. And the schedule is more favorable for Auburn as they have moved Georgia to the front end of the season. They've split up the Amen Corner weekend at the end of the year, where Auburn would play Georgia and then Alabama in back-to-back weeks. I'm taking the under. I don't believe Auburn's going to be able to keep this at 7-3 because I've watched enough Auburn football to know that it's just typically not how it works. Do I believe that Auburn made a great hire in Chad Morris if he is the offensive coordinator he was for Clemson at one point? Absolutely. I think it's fantastic. But I also think there's a really good chance that Gus is not going to allow him to actually call plays or to try to improve his passing game as we were told when he was hired. Going under, I really like the defense again this year. Kevin Steele's the best assistant in college football and is responsible for Gus really probably having his job still. But can't put on the orange and blue glasses here and say that I think Auburn will do better. I do think they return a lot of pieces that could suggest they did better, but I just don't see them being able to actually execute. That brings us to LSU, who is over-under total of 7. Last year, LSU's won the national championship, and they were 8-0 in the conference. They've lost a Heisman winner in Joe Burrow, the number 1 overall draft pick, and Jamar Chase is sitting out based on COVID, who is probably the best receiver in college football. Based on those two facts alone, going 7-3 in a full conference schedule of 10 games is a tough order. They have a pretty favorable schedule coming in from the East with Vandy, Missouri, South Carolina, and Florida. I see them going no worse than 3-1 in those games. But then the teams in the West are traditionally really tough. Auburn plays LSU close. Alabama and LSU is always a really tough game for both teams. Texas A&M is a really tough game. I mean, for you to take the over in this, you have to think that LSU is going to go 3-1 in their East games and go no worse than 2-1 in those 3 rivalry games there, and they're going to run through the other teams in the West. And I think there's a whole lot of margin for error. I think that the under is the bet on this one. That brings me to my favorite coach in college football, Lane Kiffin, and the Ole Miss Rebels, and their number is 4. I think this is the best hire that was made in college football this year. I think that he is the best offensive mind as far as play calling that we've seen in quite a while. He got a pretty favorable draw in the East. They have Kentucky, Florida, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina. All of those games are winnable. Florida is going to be a tough one, but the other 3, I think they should be favored. I see this is of all of the teams in the West, this is the one I feel the most confident. I believe Ole Miss will win much more than 4 games. I see them going 6-4 for the season. I believe that Lane Kiffin will be a very hot commodity, much more than he is now, within 3 years at this job. Staying in state, we'll move to Mississippi State, who was 6-7 last year and 3-5 in the conference. They switched from Joe Moorhead to Mike Leach, the Pirate, and their number is at 4. Leach is the creator, Hal Mummy's the creator of the air raid, and Leach was one of his first disciples and has been able to use this system everywhere he's been. And I think that this is a straight over. I think they're going to win more than 4 games. The thing that I was always frustrated me in the past watching Mike Leach teams is they would show up one week and beat a team that was far superior, and the next week lose to a team that they should beat by 20. That makes taking the over a little more tough for him. They do take Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Georgia, and Missouri in the East, and all of those games are at least competitive or winnable. They've traditionally had a strong defense. I see this as an over. And I think that Mike Leach will make some noise in the SEC West. I don't know if it will be sustainable, but I think that he's a great hire and he will bring excitement to that program. And he is much better than the recent hires they've had outside of Dan Mullen, who is now at Florida. And that brings us to our last team in the West, the Texas A&M Aggies, who were 8-5 last year and 4-4 in the conference. Their over-under is set at 7. Straight up, this is an under. This was a very strong under to me. The East teams they have is Vanderbilt, Florida, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Let's say that they beat Vandy, they beat South Carolina, and they beat Tennessee. That gives them 3 wins and lose to Florida. So they're 3-1 with 6 to go. I just don't see them running through the rest of the league at 4-2 in the West. I don't see them beating Alabama. I don't really see them beating Auburn. I don't see them beating LSU. I think this is an under. I think that Jimbo Fisher is the most overpaid coach in college, and his results are suggestive that he's a middle-of-the-road coach, but he's paid as one of the top 5, which that point remains true for Gus Malzahn and basically every coach that's not Dabo and Nick Saban. But that's the way the game's changing right now. Anyway, if I can't add these graphics, I'll put them in the comments. Please like and subscribe. That allows us to learn to do this and hopefully do it better as we get more experienced. We're trying to learn how to put the graphics on the screen because we realize that's not what you want to do, is have to look it up the line for yourself. But if you do need to look up the line, they come from mybookie.ag. It's a fantastic website. And we got depth chart information that I didn't get too in depth about because I felt like it would just be monotonous from ourlads.com. Fantastic website. First time to be on it yesterday. I really feel like I'm going to use it a lot more in the future. We will try to get this video posted for you, and please like and subscribe. Thank you.